Michael.
We're back.
We're back.
We got not one, but two guests today.
Hello.
Hello over there.
Hi.
So
Yes.
different.
for having us.
It's first time we have a couple on the show, no?
Yes. First time we're doing two and a couple. So thanks for doing this. We
Yes.
appreciate it. I think everybody knows you, but we'll go ahead. Shao Ning,
Hello.
Dersheen,
Hello.
husband and wife.
Yes.
So we're going to talk a little bit about that. No fighting while you guys are over there.
Yeah.
And I think you're known for probably most recently AngelCentral. And I would also say you're quite known for all your writings about the ecosystem. And I'm sure
yeah.
Shao Ning's
Yeah.
voice is in that.
Yeah, a lot less now, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, you put out your annual roundups, which I'm an avid reader of those. And then I think apart from that, probably it's, your first thing was building JobsCentral. And we're going to talk about that. So a little bit of Singapore history. We're going to talk a little bit about kids because Raz has 3, I has 3, but you two beat us with your 4 boys. They're numbered, by the way. Everybody's a number, not a name.
Yes.
So I've known you two for a long time, but thanks for doing this because we thought there is stuff in your story in both the ecosystem and as a couple and as investors that I think is worthwhile chatting about. So we're going to go in that direction today as much as we can. But let's start at the beginning. You guys met in university, I think. Hope I got that right. And that kind of kicked off being together and somehow getting into your startup together. So walk us down memory lane a little bit.
Oh, that's really long ago.
So I think we've been married for 23 years. I met him 28 years ago, before we turned 21, I think. Yeah, so we met in Michigan, Ann Arbor. And then he was an engineering student, I was a business student. And then
Yeah. So
Yeah,
then
that's
there
it.
was the dotcom boom. So we
it's
came back
96. Yeah.
and started a
Job portal.
job portal. Yeah.
And was it automatically you would come back to Singapore? Because you're not from Singapore, right?
No, I'm not from Singapore.
Taiwan.
I'm from Taiwan.
You're obviously from here, but was it we go back to Singapore, we start something?
No, I came back because I was a scholar with one of the local companies, right? So Samcorp Industries. So when I came back, I had to work for a while, but by then I already knew I wanted to start my own business lah. So and then I think Shao Ning, her family is here. So
My folks were here. I mean, now they're back in Taiwan, but back then, I think 99, they were here. So I came back to the family. And my dad was moving his business to China. My brother was moving to China. My mom was here. So I came back for the family. Yeah. Then I got a job with IBM as a process controller. That was very exciting. Spreadsheets, PowerPoints. But because of the 96 to 99 experience in the US, I think as 23, 24-year-old, you just felt that you could own the world. You could do anything you want. Didn't matter that we didn't really have much working experiences. So we just thought that we could do a job portal. And then we realized that career counseling, career planning was not really a thing back then for the Singapore tertiary environment. There was not even career offices in this part of the world. So we thought that we found a gap. So from the job portal, we kind of like niched into campus services. And that was what we started with. We started working with the NTU. At the time, it was still Office of Professional Attachments. And then from there, we worked with NUS. SMU was not formed yet. Then
it's before SMU.
Then we worked with the
We are
4
going back.
polys.
Really far back.
That's why you say it's history, right? So we worked with the 4 polys, worked with the ITE. And
was the job thing like a foregone conclusion? Did you even go through, let's decide what to do?
No,
or
we
just-
thought of all kinds of models. Like, at that time was, I think Amazon just started selling books. I think Google hadn't even gotten big yet. Facebook didn't exist. So a lot of it was just trying to go through different business models. And we were just very lucky that as a fresh graduate, the one that resonated was helping fresh graduates find jobs, right? So it kind of something that you already encounter the problem, right?
So that's how actually show how naive we were. We actually, the company was not supposed to just about jobs. The company name was actually Web Factory. So at the time, we were thinking that we wanted to do anything and everything related.
We're in the
to
web.
Yeah,
we're in the web.
And then we just started with jobs, and
It's
then we were stuck for
1999,
14
guys.
years.
Yeah.
That's why I love these things. We learned something. Web Factory.
Right.
And then very quickly we realized just the jobs piece alone is huge, right? And Monster just opened in Singapore. I think from the time we launched the job portal, there were easily 20 more job portals launched, right? It's no different from today. When a new model comes out, you'll see 10, 20 clones right away.
I want to go back because you move very fast. Yes, I wanna go back. And for any entrepreneur, kind of 2 stages, I think, or 3 stages before you open his like venture. So first is like the ideation part, when you are thinking about it, and then you have like the co-founder. And I want to stop over there because your co-founder was your wife and your husband. And we always like to think about it as co-founder is like a marriage, but you actually married.
Yeah. We got married in the 2nd year of business, right? Third year of business. So we were boyfriend, girlfriend.
There were actually 6 of us. There were 6 co-founders who were supposed to do this together, but I guess along the way, life happens. So
2 of them didn't want to leave their jobs, so they didn't join in the end. Another one was my sister, right, who came in also, and then
I think a few fell out,
friend,
and then a few came in along the way. So it evolved. So it was 6, became 4, then became 3, then became 4, then became 5, then became 4.
But in the end, it was 4.
So
in the end, there were four
So-
key co-founders.
So Michelle, Eric, Dashing, myself kind of like stayed together for 11 years. Yeah. We acquired them along the way.
And how you decided who's doing what, like the roles and responsibilities?
Oh, it was quite natural, I think.
So in the combination of the 4 co-founders, Eric, Michelle, Dashing, and myself, the 2 of us were more product and sales, facing outwards. Eric was our natural CTO. He's our tech guru. Michelle was handling most of the operations, marketing, production, publications. So 2 of us I was handling HR, finance, but sales, both of us, customers.
So it kind of just naturally divided that way, especially after 6-7 years. But in the beginning, I think most of our time was just doing sales. Everything else was just, because it's a total bootstrap startup. So we had
And
no
did you guys
funding.
title yourselves anything, or just co-founders, or just?
I think in the beginning, call ourselves manager, right? That's all. Then we realized we have to call ourselves business development manager, so that at least it means sales.
So it depends on the timing of the week and depends on what you're doing that day. So because I was handling sales, I was handling customer service, I was handling account receivables, I was accounting payroll. So Monday I was finance, Tuesday I was something else, and then, so it depends on the day of the
What
week.
day of the week?
Yeah, but I remember my name card was business development manager.
And then we had this thing that
we official
because we started 23, 24, and if I'm 49 now and I look like this, imagine when I was 24. And Singapore actually had a little bit of the seniority complex. So when we were dealing with people who are senior or director level, actually they didn't want to talk to us because we're too young. So because of that, I remember we had a business development director card to give to somebody who is a director on the other side. But if it's lower, then we'll give the BDM or we'll do the BD. So we had to do that to make sure that the other side recognize us on the same level. So it's a funny thing that we're doing at the back end. Then sometimes he will be my boss, sometimes I'll be his boss. When I need to chase my invoices, then I'm the boss, and then he's a good guy, he's a sales guy, right? And then I'm the back person, I'm the AR person who need to chase the invoice.
Your collections
so we gotta
today.
do this.
So you said bootstrapped, no funding? It was just
So
zero.
I mean, we took around 100,000 from ourselves, a bunch of us, and then another 100,000 from my dad and just one family friend. Yeah, that's all.
And just as like an angel investment, or just capitalize the company?
It's kind of angel investment. So we were profitable from day one. Our first year was already $250,000.
Wow.
So we just basically sold our way and just kept selling. We are salespeople. So we learned a lot by the competitors. So it was good that job portals are very established business in the sense that the HR already has a wallet for recruiting, right? So all the job portals needed to do was to convince them that doing it online is cheaper and better and faster. Right. So then the key thing, I remember a lot of time was spent watching Jobs TV, Job Street, and Monster just to see how they sell and then learn from that. Right. Yeah.
So you think you reach your product market fit very quickly, or it took
Instantly.
time?
Yeah. The first year we had to build the portal, and the original idea was just to do a job portal. But because we had no funding, so we can't fight with the Job Street and Jobs DB, and I think there was one called Recruit Asia, Monster. There were so many, like I mentioned 20 competitors. So what happened was we actually did a mini pivot, and we straight away said, let's just take our product and call it a campus product. So once we did that, then there were no competitors there. So then we built the business from there. And then later, 5-6 years later, then we went back into the job portal business, the mainstream
business
part.
model was still advertising centric,
Mm-hmm.
except now with the campus focus, I could say that I could talk to the HR to say that, hey, I'm representing NTU, NUS, and then this is actually a perfect platform for you to recruit from campus. So we work with the career centers to bring the students on board, bring the alumni on board, and then on the other end, we bring the employers in.
Yeah. And it's a different budget straight away, right? Because HR has a recruiting budget, but some of it is for management trainee, some of it is for rank and file. And in fact, for management trainee and scholars, the budget is much larger because there's branding involved.
Yeah. So under JobsCentral, we had sub-products called Bright Sparks and Bright Minds. So Bright Minds is for your first job. Bright Spark is for your scholarship searching. So that goes down to the high school kids, to the 18-year-old. You know, when you sign off on the dotted line like the way he did when he became a scholar, do you know what you're signing up for? Because there is commitment for 8 years beyond your graduation. So there was a lot of career planning and conversation that was slightly different from the mass market job portal. So we kind of like niche ourselves in that space, and that paved the way for us to really know HR. So HR know us as the Bright Sparks people, the Jobs Factory people. And so when we launched JobsCentral, it was not difficult to cross the budget to get to the other wallet.
Yeah. Besides, we already have databases, right? Because once you run it for 6-7 years, the fresh grads 5 years ago are actually, they've been working for 5 years, right? And we're getting out of the top tier because we're doing all the management trainees and scholars.
No cloud then. Where do you guys run this stuff?
In the beginning, it was data centers, very interesting. So I actually remember before we got Eric on board as a CTO, so he's a brilliant CTO, but before we got him on board, I actually had to sit in front of our outsourced vendor and watch the way they code. And back then, later then we realized the programmer was also a first project for him, right? So it was quite funny because back in 2000, imagine, it
Fresh
just
grad.
started, everything just started, right? So yeah, you had to have your own rack, right? And then you actually put your own server and you put your own application on it. Downtime was a big problem before cloud. So every time there was a downtime, everyone would be panicking, right? And downtime does happen. I remember quite routinely actually, because our initial server used to be at the Kallang factory. It was one of those industrial factories. The outsourced vendor had a place there, and then
Because there was no proper data center.
No, the data center as a concept didn't exist that well back then.
Yeah.
Maybe in the US it existed in 2001, but not here. Yeah. So then I think we only moved fully into clouds maybe in 2006 or 7, right? Yeah, around the same time as mobile coming out.
Yeah,
when the iPhone first came out. Yeah.
Do you think the ability to hit the ground running like this, some of it's connected to you're just out of school yourself, so you're kind of, like you said, working on something you know is useful, but it's also like kind of the Wild West, nothing's happening. Do you think that gave you this, we don't need money, we can find revenue? Because I would juxtapose this over what's happening today, and as we talk about where everybody needs money and revenue, you know what I'm saying? Is it because there's such a green field, or because you just super focused? Like, why doesn't this happen more today?
Naive.
Yeah, naive lah. It does happen actually. We have some of our startups are like that. Like Motorists, hardly any money and they are doing more than 10 million revenue. So it's possible. So for us, I think we did try to get funding. We went to a few just because we started the business in 2000. So that was the dotcom crash, right? So we still met up with a few VCs, right? Two, but they all turned us down for sure, right? I mean, they weren't even funding people that much already, right? So then we realized that we have to either make it work like a normal SME business, or you go back and work, right? Yeah. So I think with that kind of attitude, then
we had to learn very fast that, there was this term called the eyeballs.
Yeah.
Like
back then,
we was
traffic.
Dotcoms,
eyeballs. How many eyeballs you have?
Like, you have so much eyeballs, but I'm like, eyeballs don't fit me, right? I need to fill my tummy, and so we had. I remember we had a big argument: do we continue giving free trials, or do we start charging? And we had to be practical very fast.
Yeah. I think when there's no funding, then by default, the entrepreneurs who still want to do this will have to find a way to fund it, right? So it's by revenue, there's no other way. Right?
Yeah, but that constraint, in some sense, played to your favor because you did figure it out, you did money, and obviously it was a good exit. And with the amount of money put in, a VC would have made a lot of money, right? So but that constraint kind of forced you down another path, right? Like,
And that constraint caused us to really see a dollar. I'll try to stretch the dollar as much as possible. So explicitly, the staff had to be working at 150% before I would think about hiring a second headcount. Yeah, we were extremely cautious. And I think at least when we were, the first few years when we were purely campus focused, we didn't have a marketing budget. Marketing is always print the flyers, go down to on campus to sign the students up. When we had to actually spend money on marketing was when we launched JobsCentral. And when the bus ads got to go, and my God, I remember the first $70,000 check that I had to sign.
and was it for online marketing or some brand?
No,
So
it was a bus
ads,
campaign.
bus
Bus
and
ads,
taxis.
bus
Back then,
ads.
those things
70,000
still work.
was huge. I was looking at the check for 2 weeks and I refused to sign
On the
because
public
I couldn't
buses.
bring myself to
just
sign.
to see
Yeah, they still work back then. But I think the key thing was everything had to be measured. We didn't do any branding. Like she said, we only started doing branding in the 7th, 8th year of business, right? Most of it was, if we're going to spend $1, how many signups am I going to get? Which actually kind of is today's digital marketing, right? Yeah.
But because it's our, in a sense, if I don't spend on this, it could go down to profit, which the shareholders would benefit. So we were very, very cautious in the way we spend.
And the other thing I think that was very helpful was our industry had very good competitors. So JobsDB and JobStreet, super profitable. I think JobStreet, by the time they sold, were doing 100 million USD revenue, profit of 40 plus. Net.
Yeah.
The
So it
high
kind of
30s to
forces
40.
forces
So
you to be on your game.
When your
right?
competitor is that good, right? That's when we started realizing that, hey, we need to measure everything, right? So they were spending like 4-5% of turnover just on marketing. That's all. That's all. That's why nowadays when I hear startups spending 20% on marketing, I think it's ridiculous, right?
Different era.
Yeah.
It's a different
No,
culture.
you can do it in this era. But
Well, even the hiring thing. I tell people even now, like you should hire from a position of pain when somebody's overworked. And sorry to say
Correct.
that. That's what you're saying. And then you hire. Where
Of
you have
course.
today going, oh, I better hire because I met somebody or because I bumped
Preparing
into the
for
right
2 months later.
like ahead of the
just
thing,
in
right?
case,
Yeah.
So it's, I think it was very helpful that we had this competitor that was so strong and so well run, and we learned a lot from them because they listed very early in 2003 or 4. It was a small listing on the Malaysian secondary bourse. It was called Nasdaq, but because of that, all their numbers became public, right? And then we got to meet the founders. Long story, but they tried to acquire us. They made an offer, but it was too cheap, lah.
Yeah.
Which is true to the nature. It's correct. They are like that.
So we
Right, so they are
learned
very good.
through
Yeah.
talking to them. They taught us a lot, to be
Yeah,
fair.
very good team.
And through them, we learned about business freedom, we learned about planning. Because I would say the first 3 years, we were basically, whatever can give me revenue, I'll do.
Yeah.
We
We even did
designed-
IT software for people.
IT
yeah.
software.
It's like a
Yeah.
gift. They went public. You had a lot of
So
information,
plus they
right?
tried to acquire us. So we met all the founders.
Yeah.
This guy Mark Chang, he's pretty famous actually, just that he's low key. And then we learned about how a bigger business runs and do it properly, right? Meaning that it's a scaled up business, how you track where to invest and yet still keep that profit. I think that was quite
It
interesting.
focused us,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanna take you back to you say that the 2 VCs rejected you.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it was a tough moment or not, but I'm trying to understand. It doesn't look like it was tough to you, but I'm trying to understand what was your motivation to continue pushing. Is it was like hunger thing to success? Is it was more passion to show that we can? Is it was love for the domain? Like was the motivation to
I mean,
do
very,
that?
very, very honestly, HR was not something that we thought we will be doing when we're in
Yeah,
school.
of course not. Yeah. Yeah. So for
Passion.
me is I'm very back then I'm very controlling. So my personality is I like to control everything and I really don't like people telling me what to do. So I can't work in a corporate environment. Right.
So you're like, I got to do my own thing.
So I have to do my own thing. And then the other thing is that I don't know where, because my family is quite okay, right? They are pretty comfortable. But somewhere along the line, I learned that I need to make quite a fair bit of money by the time I'm 35. I don't know why. I set myself some targets. And then I realized the only way to do it is either go join an investment bank, which is too late because I'm an engineer and I'm a scholar, so I'm bonded, or I have to run my own business. So then, so it became run my own business.
I think I stuck with it because of them 2 meetings. I remember one of the meetings basically the chap say that you guys are fresh grad, you have no network, you don't know what you're doing. Why would anybody fund you? So that was what I walked away with. Then I think it's just that I want to show that I can do it. So that was what I left at. And then I think, so my family, my dad is in business, my mom is a housewife. So it's more of, from young, I knew I'm going to do a business, but I don't know what business I was going to do. And then since this seems to be there and seems to have some early traction, stuck at it, tried it out, figure it out. Yeah, figure it out. Yeah.
It's great.
So very different motivations actually.
Yeah, I was gonna
But we
say
didn't- but we
completely
didn't talk
different
about
answer.
So that actually
That caused
created problem
problems
later after we
subsequently.
sold the business.
Yeah.
It gave us problems after we sold the business, because for me it's always make enough FU money and then I can choose what I want to do in my life, right? But for her it was never about that, so it's quite different.
Did
So
that?
interesting.
I mean, does that? Because at some point you guys start your angel investing, your AngelCentral. Is that coming out of this problem or completely separate?
Indirectly we had to find something.
She
to
says
do.
no, but yeah.
So what happened after 2014 was, so we stopped working in 2013.
2014,
14.
June 2014.
Yeah, 2014 we stopped working and then we took a break. And 2015, I think we were both getting uneasy.
How many kids at that point?
Four.
Four.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
so number 4 is out.
Yeah,
All
just
right.
came out.
Okay,
Okay.
speak how it came up together with all these plans. Okay.
So he was doing the wealth.
Yeah, no, I was also a bit messed up because at that time in 2014, my mother passed away from cancer in June. So in October. So once I retired, within 3 months she passed away. So it's quite tough, right? So I think it took a few months to internalize the whole process. And then what happened was, then I realized that I still need to do something. I'm only 39, I think, at that time. And then the fourth kid is so young that we can't leave Singapore anyway. So then I tried to do some other startup, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, I tried to do another startup too and didn't work out.
Your own. You started your own or you joined
started.
things?
No, I started. So I thought I was thinking of following the traditional SME bosses. So one thing I'm quite different is that I don't just believe in learning from tech founders. I actually learn a lot from non-tech founders. So the other, besides JobStreet trying to buy us, I think the other defining thing was in 09, 010, I kind of joined a forum group where I was linked up with a lot of founders, right? And these are traditional business owners, right? Very large, some of them very large. So then I learned that, actually it's all about profits, right? Yeah, even if you want to sell a story, it's still about profits, unless you are, doing Elon Musk level kind of entrepreneurship. So then I realized a lot of them, when they start a business, they actually own the majority of it. So that's where I tried to do something, and whereby I'm the chairman, I put in the money, somebody else runs it, right? But it didn't work out.
Yeah. So technically, we had 2 separate startups after we stopped working, and both didn't work out. And then there was a time I realized that maybe we should come back to each other, because he knows me, I know him, and we can trust each other. Because one thing we realized when working with other people, I think that 10 over years of working together with Shing, Michelle, and Eric, we fought, of course. But the thing is, you know that nobody's going to shoot you in the back.
You can still trust people,
You
even though
just
you're
trust
fighting.
each other.
Yeah.
We know
Trust
that.
is everything.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
And then when we went outside and worked with other people, I think we came back with full of scars.
Yeah.
There was so much mess. I fell sick. I don't know whether Michael knew. I fell sick. I had this condition called Bell's palsy. Basically,
yeah.
December 30th, 2015, because of one of the startup that I was doing. I think it was giving me so much stress. I just woke up with half of my face not moving.
Wow.
I freaked out, and then I was like, "Hey, my face is not moving."
I would freak out too if my face wasn't working.
Yeah, it's quite scary.
So my body is very kind to me, giving me a signal to tell me that I was stressed out. So technically, Bell's palsy is a symptom. You don't know what caused it, but basically just the nerve gone on a strike, right? But I interpreted, because I was really under a lot of stress from that startup, and I figured that it's really important that you enjoy what you're doing. And frankly, at that stage in life, it's really, my kids are most important, he's most important, family is most important.
Sure.
So whatever I'm doing, I should enjoy it. I shouldn't get to that kind of stress level. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, and some amount of success must have been that you were a couple in the heart of it, building it together, right? Like, even if you don't attribute it to it, I think some of us on the outside would, right? So
we
to then
only
go do
learned
it without each other.
that kind of wisdom only came to me in 2018 or 2019.
Yeah. So when we stopped JobsCentral, actually there was some difficulty because in the sense that suddenly there was nothing to do, right?
Yeah.
Then for me, I wanted to travel a lot and I was still grappling with my mother's death. I think she was also grappling with loss of identity. And it didn't help that, actually JobsCentral, we are equal co-founders. Our shareholding is the same.
Mm-hmm.
But when we sold, the Singapore society actually just recognized me a lot more, right? So I had a lot of, I was on a lot of government committees and all that. So it's very unfair actually.
But that's like a Asian societal problem that is continually unfair, right?
So that's also
and that was
why
before this whole female balance equality.
So it's even worse then.
Yeah.
It's not better yet, but it was
it's slightly
worse,
better
right?
now. So that's why she said, I start my own, you start your own, and then we see what happened. We did also do angel investing right from the start. So as early as 2013, I think we invested in one animation, right? Anurag So we did that one. We even while we were doing our own startups, we carry on doing some angel investing here and there. So that kind of stuck.
No, that wasn't angel investing. That was because we want to diversify from
it's considered angel
the
investing,
JobsCentral side. At the time, 4 of us were looking at the deals together. So we were, because job portal basically is a classified model. So we were looking at other classified verticals and see where we could go in. But
we spoke about kids and we have kids, and how did you decide during the business, both of you are partners, co-founders, let's do kids, let's do startup, let's do how everything works out?
Accidents happen, life happens.
I just say it's the no plan.
Our kids are accident, plan, accident.
Do they know that?
They know
they
that.
do.
Yeah, of course, otherwise I won't be saying it here.
Just checking.
So the interesting thing is we got married and then we were having our wedding dinner and it was a working day. So of course I invited the office to come for the wedding dinner, but I told them in the morning I'm going for my church wedding. You guys, please make sure you show up for work. You just come over for dinner. You don't need to give us angpao, but make sure you show up for work.
Our honeymoon was 4 days long, I think, in Langkawi. And then we came back. But I wouldn't trade it because it's good to have kids at the same time. It kind of forces us to be very anchored and be very practical about how we...
Also, you know how we plan our wedding? We realized we needed to get married. So basically we came up with a spreadsheet, came up with budget, assigned a job. We got it done in a week, I think. We got a wedding plan in a week.
And
we assigned to different people.
Probably efficient as well.
So it helps that we work together.
And we very clear that it got to be under the budget. You had to make sure you kept everything under budget.
So when did all the activity turn into AngelCentral?
So around 2017, so my venture failed, her venture didn't work out. And then I think she was really bored because she needed something to hold on to, right? I was also very drifting. It doesn't work. So I can tell all retirees that if you spend a bit of time on project A, B, C, D, but none of them are an anchor, it doesn't really work. Right? Your brain is like scattered brain all over, right? And you're not important enough to each of the activities anyway. So what happened was she said, why don't we start running workshops, right? And teach people how we angel invest. Because by 2017, we've probably done 10 investments already. Because people just sought us out, right? So, and because we invested in a few VCs back then, the Jungles and the Bungs Hill, right? So then the people started...
Is that all like fund one or even pre-fund one?
Yeah, all the fund ones.
Right. Nice.
So then we ran workshops. They were kind of sold out always. And then people started saying, why don't you organize pitch days? So she organized pitch days, and then we realized we are paying for everything, right? So that's where she said, let's make it into a club.
It didn't really cost much to organize stuff, but it was like, I think just by doing those, we had 200 plus people. And then they were saying that, why don't you start an angel fund? Why don't you do this and why don't you do that? And then I was thinking, you have 200 over people, and then half the time I'm hearing the gripes from the founders who are having problem with the early stage angels. Then can we just bring them together to have a conversation and to manage expectations? So it just happened. But then to be fair to the people who were following then, so I say we just try. Let's just charge $500. $500 for membership to see anybody sign up. Then we had 70 people who signed up. Of course, a lot of friends.
And then we realized when we ran a pitch day, it was just for fun, right? Then we realized, a few $100,000 was funded. So then we realized, okay, there's something here, right? We should.
So 2017, just casually, so we called it AngelCentral Community, but there was nothing official. We funded almost 2.4 mil
Wow.
And
Nice.
then people were coming in, and so we thought, okay, there's something serious here that we can. Then we found one headcount who is willing to work with us, and then we found Tikmo, who was together with me in that time. We were working. Both Tikmo and me were venture partners with Entrepreneur First.
Okay, yeah, I remember that.
Then from there, like just a few more, just a bit and pieces of things that happened. Then Shirley, GM, she was my IT manager from JobsCentral.
Oh.
So I say, okay, we need a process to collect applications, and I need a CRM to manage the angels. So we started putting things together on Google Form and everything. Then we learned how to work this, and then she came up with specs to build everything. So now I think we are probably the only angel membership base that actually has our own portal to list a website, to have a CRM in the back end. Yeah.
What are the
Now-
cumulative stats at this point? How many deals have been done? Like,
Wow. We've funded around 35 million.
Wow.
We see
For the
around
network.
900 companies every year. Funding volume has dropped. We peaked at around 8 million, 9 million in 2021.
Seven
Now
on a
it's
yearly basis.
Yeah.
plus the non-syndicated.
Oh,
Then now around half of it. Now it's roughly half. Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the funding winter has hit for the last 2 years. So it peaked in 2021, 22, then 23, 24. It's kind of plateaued out at half the volume.
Got
Right?
it.
But the membership is at all-time high.
Yeah.
So people
Go
are still
figure.
involved. It's
Yeah,
just-
go figure, right?
yeah, money's
it makes
less.
sense actually, because
Yeah.
then some bottom fishers, people who never got exposed, now they think, maybe now is the right time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, it's a good segue because you're writing a lot about exits and startups and the ecosystem. And unfortunately, we don't see lots of liquidity.
Yeah, not always popular though.
Yeah.
I had Kylie tell me, can you be a bit more positive? Yeah.
Why do you think went wrong?
I don't think anything went wrong. I think it's more of the behavior that was encouraged by a lot of founders. And because the money is so easy to get, so the behavior was to go for revenue, right? And there were founders that managed to cash out or exit through secondaries or full exits just off the basis of revenue, right? So it kind of feeds to itself. Whereas the other path to build using profits, cash flow, really does take longer. It'll take a few years longer,
Correct.
right?
But
So
I think he's very generous to use the word revenue.
yeah,
Right.
Metrics
I
are,
mean,
yeah.
I would say that past 10, 15 years when money was free, because interest rate has been really, really
Yeah.
low, if it's not zero. I think a lot of the founders were learning to spend to acquire market share, not really spend to acquire. They spend to acquire users, not necessarily the right customers, and that doesn't translate into proper
Retention.
metrics, right?
There is no
It
retention.
was a lot of what do you call it? The vanity metrics. So you're spending $5 to earn $2 if there were $2, and a lot of founders were very comfortable to say that if I run out of money, I just go raise some more. And that gave rise to a whole bunch of, I would say, very unhealthy behaviors. Yeah.
So it's still working it out right now,
Yeah.
right? You can still see it in the late stage. It's still cascading through the system. We had a Korean VC remark to us that, he finds our ecosystem very strange because in the US and in Korea, everything corrected very quickly from the funding, from 2022's
Early
crash.
23.
Yeah.
Everything recalibrated over the next 1.5 years. But he found it strange because he made this comment to us sometime in the middle of last year.
23.
No,
Early
middle of last year.
Yeah.
So he was making the comment that, how come the Singapore ecosystem still hasn't had its failures and all that. But it's also partly because our guys raised a lot of money in 2022, right? 21, 22.
In
They still
theory,
managed to raise.
it's still coming, maybe.
It
right?
is still
For
coming.
some
I'm
things. I
pretty
think
sure it's
people
still
like,
coming.
Like it's gonna happen.
I've seen
right?
metrics whereby a revenue is 40, they're losing 20 cash every year. I'm not sure how long, who
That'll
will fund
last,
them.
right?
Because you need someone to keep you alive if you're still like that, right? But then on the same token, I am hearing companies narrowing their losses dramatically. And I think if you look at C and Grab, they're very good examples. These are pretty bona fide, scaled up unicorns already, right? Yeah.
I think our ecosystem, the usage pattern, the conversion in numbers, didn't really warrant a real unicorn for the valuations for some of the companies
many of them,
claiming to be
Yeah.
unicorns. I think maybe not more than 300-400 million, practically speaking. So we need to be realistic about what the valuation.
Yeah, and a
should
change in
have been.
valuation would
Yeah.
recalibrate
So it's
how
coming
much
up.
money is
It's coming
going
up.
in.
I think
right?
the next 1 year, barring a massive ecosystem optimism event again, right, which I don't see one coming. So if the ecosystem remains the same, meaning interest rates are still at 3-4% at the Fed side, and ARC companies are not rebounding dramatically. They've already rebounded actually, but not dramatically. Then all the ex-unicorns at 1 billion should be worth 300 lah, or 200 or 400. Unless their financials improve dramatically. Then so some will fail lah, right? Yeah.
But let's say
hopefully not all, a good number would succeed, right? Yeah.
Let's say all of that improves. It still doesn't really fix the exit.
It does. It just means the later guys
they're more
too bad
affordable.
lah. Yeah. No, it does. If you look at Grab as an example, they kind of overvalue all the way till spec IPO was at 40B if I'm not wrong, right?
Yeah, it's 40B.
It's fine what? So long as you're invested sub 10, you made money by now.
Yeah.
So it's only the Toyota, I don't know who lah. The last round
the
guys
last round
are still losing and the spec guys.
Yeah.
So it's still fine. The management is fine. The company is real now. It just means that it was overvalued at one stage. But I think that's normal. That happens around the world.
But if things kind of recalibrate, something that size can't go public, right? So then what happens?
I think most of the unicorns, at least I track, will be able to IPO at a few 100 million to maybe single digit
like
billion.
the India ones.
Yeah, not just India ones, some of the local ones also possible, right?
Yeah.
A few 100 million is definitely possible.
But where would they go public in that thing?
That one, yeah, your guess is as good as
No,
mine.
that's what I'm saying.
Hong
I still think
Kong,
there's that problem.
Yeah,
right?
Hong Kong,
Like,
Singapore, or Australia.
Yeah.
The NASDAQ guys have to be at least a 2B, 1B plus 2B.
Yeah.
And there are a few of them, right? Like PetSnap is quite possible.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I see all of them are B2C. We didn't see like the B2B.
PetSnap's
PetSnap
busy.
is a bit-
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we did PetSnap many years ago. So they are, I think, doing pretty well. Yeah. Pretty real deal. Yeah.
But we want to see more. I
Yes,
guess,
we
from
need
here.
more. We need more. So all the Carousel, Shopbags, Caro, Custom, their numbers need to improve dramatically, right?
Yeah.
And it could be because the numbers, at least that I see, are only 2023, right? So 2024, things should have improved even more.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So let's kind of go left field here a little bit because we've talked about this over coffee and stuff. What's harder, building a startup or raising 4 kids?
I think raising kids are a lot
Yeah.
harder.
Yeah, and I think should we talk about it a little bit because it was also like you were in the thick of building a startup while you're raising kids, which for some people, I have friends like, oh, I'm putting it off until I'm done with my startup. I've had some other friends that said, you know what, just do it. I was in that. Yeah, like what? It is hard, right? And I say this as when we were chatting on coffee, like I to myself going, man, the hardest problems I have in my life are actually kid management. Not that I have some terrible thing happening, but just like from a mental acuity test, that's much
more
harder.
challenging.
It's more harder than
challenging.
work. It's more harder than startups. Like what do you tell people? Like, how do you get through this? Or what, any advice or stuff you learn from doing both?
How do you get through it?
I think
I don't know.
for us, it's quite okay because she's very intuitive about a lot of things. So like when it comes to kids, she'll just have a feeling that it has to be this way. And it tends to be right.
No data points.
Yeah, it tends to be right. No, I think
data
she has a lot of data points, but the way she arrives at the conclusion is not a sequential one. So that's what I mean by intuitive. So she will just say that, okay, I think this kid, we need to worry about this thing. Then that kind of directs me. Then I'm the one that kind of try to make everything sequenced and
operational.
Yeah, and analyze it, right? Yeah. I think we're quite lucky. Our children are all quite okay. Not that hard to
So our
handle,
older is 23. So in fact, we had the business first, then the kids came. So we always tell them that, the JobsCentral is the first baby. You guys are baby number 2 and 3, right? So when they were young, I think it was logistics that we have to be very concerned with.
Yeah.
But as I get older, I think it's more of development and really getting to know them. And when they hit their teens, I think being friends with them was important, but it was very difficult because
Very hard.
I have to be very honest. I'm a very judgy person. I will look at them like,
Why are you wearing that? Like,
then I have to be very politically correct when you deal with teenagers, especially. And so it's hard. And a lot of things I have to I have to bite my tongue and not let the words come out as I would like it to be. So it's that part is difficult, and you have to recognize that they have their life. They have the right to lead their lives, and I have to remind myself not to impose too much. So I would say before they turn 12, My job is captain. So, okay, you're on my Facebook, right? I don't know whether I wrote a spreadsheet about my role with them and what kind of ship they are, and then what's my job. So initially, you're the captain. You map the map. You go with them. But as I go along, I just hope that they keep me on their ship so that I can continue.
Can I sit on the sun deck, please?
Yes. Right. So,
that's a good analogy.
I have to evolve and I have to learn. And he's very, I don't know, he's very chill about it. And I'm the one who is thinking about, what do I do with the big boy? What do I do with the second one? Well, he's like, just let it be.
My wife and I reversed it. She's like, hey, just let it go. And I'm sitting there going like,
that's my philosophy is that I do what I can. And this applies to my whole life. I do whatever I can, whether it's for my health, relationship with her, I just do what I can. And I try to do it at a high standard. And if that's still not good enough, then whatever will be.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I think can be kind of two approaches. And I'm going to take it to the business level. You can be a coacher with your kids or a mentor, which is two different things. Because what I'm telling my girls, I have 3 girls, I'm telling them, most of your life, unfortunately, I'm not going to be there to do the decision with you. I want to be there. Yeah. I want to discuss with you about that. And then we want to think about it together. But most of the time, I'm not going to be there. And I want to give you the values that you're going to be able to think about it in order to execute on the right time.
Yeah.
What's your...
Yeah,
I agree with that. The key is there must be the foundation to have the good sense of right or wrong. So that part, I think we try. So one thing we tell the kids and what I pray for in church is they become someone that can be useful to both themselves and to their loved ones. And if they can be useful on a greater level, great.
Even
but
better.
I think basically be useful. And be responsible.
It's really a marathon. That's why I made a comment that just, we have aligned values, we have aligned things that we want our children to get from us. The delivery, we try our best. Yeah. And, if it falls short, then so be it. But hopefully it doesn't fall short by too much. Right? Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
That's good advice.
We have to evolve.
Because I do remind her that, we only have one life. So next time, by the time the children are all grown, we only left with each other. So we better make sure we get this relationship right first.
We have to evolve.
Right?
Time flies.
Yeah.
Right.
Because the 2 big boys can say that I'm too lenient with the youngest one. And they actually tell me that you're not caning him enough. Because the first 2 were caned a lot by me.
How old is he right now?
10.
10.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 23 and 10. So you can see the change. And I have to tell them that Mommy
you're so soft on the little one.
Yeah, now we are so soft with her.
But I'm like, she's the last one. She's the only one left. I'm like,
it's partly, I think, when the first 2, we were really in the thick of running the business. So you had to be efficient at home.
Another constraint, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about my wife. I met her when we both worked together, by the way. And if you ask me, and she know it, if we are willing to work together, no. Doesn't mean that we are not operating well. Doesn't mean that we are the best team. Yeah, she's my best co-founder. She's not my best friend. She's my best co-founder. Yeah. And do you recommend young couples to be partners based on your experience? Like business partners?
Yeah, I think for me, the experience is very case by case. So the personalities have to match and they have to be mature enough, right? So we actually had a lot of different views when we ran the business, but it was all subordinated to making the business work. But what I didn't realize was my reason for why I want the business to work is very different from hers. And that created a problem later. But because we've been together so long, we have 4 kids, we love each other. So I guess we kind of worked that out. So I think if you can work it out, working with your spouse is a very strong combination because, you literally have someone else that you trust 100% to debate all the things. So we spent a lot of time discussing stuff, and then now it's all become discussing the children, right? Yeah. So our investments, we are not against couples. We've invested like the Blood. There's this FMCG company called PS Love. Now it's called Blood. It's a husband and wife team. Yeah, most husband and wife team. Yeah.
I think it's up to the couple how they are willing to work it out. But I understand why people are they try not to touch such a relationship because, in fact, one of the VC did ask me if they break up, which one would you support, right? I mean, when they're doing the background checks. For me, he set the tone very well. I mean, he told me very clearly that no matter what happens, we can never bring out the D word. So that set the tone. And because of that, it kind of like got us in the framework that no matter what happens, the family is most important. We must always work it out. There's no second path.
No.
And so I agree with that. And that's why it kind of like changed the tone very much.
Yeah.
But if the couples do not have that basic framework or that baseline spelled out, it could get very, very scary. Yeah.
But you need to have a conflict resolution method, whether it is because you understand each other very well, and therefore, like now, I think we understand each other very well. I can keep quiet when I need to. Right? It really doesn't bother me much
Basically,
anymore.
I told him sometimes I
Right.
just need to vent.
Yeah,
So
and I learned that she's sometimes just
quiet.
venting. She's not looking for a problem solver.
yeah.
Just listen.
Yeah. So I think the key is you must have a conflict resolution system between the couple that works both at work and at home.
Yeah.
If you have it, whether both of you shout at it, then you're fine, or you understand each other and you give in accordingly,
Yeah.
whichever way works, then I think it becomes a strong combi.
Someone told me it's called constructive conflict.
Yeah. Yes, and actually after you finish the conflict, if you reflect, I actually do feel I understand her better. Right. So I think we fight very little nowadays already. Yeah, a lot in post 2014.
Used to have a lot.
No, very little now, really.
Yeah,
very
now-
little.
You can do it
no,
after,
better.
by the way, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. So we're gonna do our closer questions,
Yeah.
but you can either take them one at a time, however you want to do this. They're the same question to everybody that we have as a guest. And thanks for the history lesson and opening up as a couple. And I think for me, I learned a
Transparency.
bunch of things. I'm gonna remember Web Factory. That's gonna be a good one. You're talking to your 20-year-old self, but with your current head, what advice would you give?
20-year-old. Be more daring. I'm always worried. Yeah. So he encourages me to try a lot of different things. I'm always thinking about the what ifs, and I'm always on the negative side of things. So I should be more courageous and be more willing to try new things, but not in terms of food. but be more courageous to try new experiences and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
don't worry
think
so much.
I think I would tell myself to be less harsh. Right? Be less
On other
harsh.
people or yourself?
Both. I'm very harsh last time. Very, very harsh. The 20-year-old me, basically only one goal, and I just want to make my business work and make a lot of money. That's all. Right? So everything was subordinated to it. And because of that, now that I'm older, I realize actually there are many ways we probably got the same outcome or better outcome. You don't need to be so uncompromising. So, yeah.
I think that only comes with time, right?
Yeah. Well, some people have the mental maturity quite early. So mine took time. Yeah.
And then the follow-up always is, would you tell your kids the same?
Yeah, I would tell them to experiment with more, be curious, be brave, just give it a shot. And I mean, they are very lucky to be where they are. What I realized actually, probably maybe we didn't demand enough. They're so relaxed.
Too chill.
They're too chill.
Yeah. I do tell my kids that there are many ways to skin a cat. I say it in a different way, because the conclusion in my mind is that there are many ways to get the same thing done. If you just think hard enough or let time pass or be creative about it, you can get what you want with minimal downside problems, right? Yeah. So I do tell them that a lot. I don't know whether they get the message though.
Yeah, makes sense. That's a good one.
Yeah. So the next one is, we spoke about stress and we want to listen to our body. So what do you do for your regime in terms of, wellness?
I have very
And
low stress now. Yeah. That's one of the main reasons I wanted to retire young. Yeah.
What do you do now to strengthen your wellness and your physical, mental
Okay,
health?
so I start first. Oh, yeah, no.
Because I basically has nothing.
Yeah, she's just got very good genes, I tell you. Yeah, I woke up like 5-6 times a week. Every day I move. Every morning I'm moving, so I walk the dog. So walk for like 45 minutes to an hour. Then I do yoga, swim, or jog. That's another hour plus. So my whole morning is active moving. So morning, because I wake up, make breakfast and all that. right? So that helps. Then I have 6-7 supplements. Yeah, quite a lot lah.
Like a regimen.
And we eat healthy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
hardly any processed food.
So I'm very healthy because of him.
Yeah.
Because he has a routine for me to follow, and then I try to exercise. I'm not really a exercise
He's got
person.
good genes, I guess.
So I try to exercise. I'll do the walks, and I just signed up for Reformer Pilates. I will. It's my New Year resolution. I will exercise
Reformer's good. Reformer's good.
Yeah. So you just went. Yeah, I'm gonna try tomorrow.
tomorrow
Yeah.
start. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will.
Nice.
You'll make it. You'll make it. We'll
And then
check in
try
on you
to-
on
I
that.
think but we do get some stress when about the children, or when a startup gives some problem, So the key thing I learned is that I think she has a nice way of saying it. So long as the stress makes you feel alive and engaged, rather than make you obsess about it for too long. So 1-2 days of pain is okay. It's probably good for us.
I think we are in a very lucky state now. I think I just have to remind ourselves that nothing is going to break things for us now. Just don't take the kind of risk that we're doing with the angel investing is high enough. So we have to make sure that, I think I'll fix it. The other investments pay the bill. So angel investing, enjoy, have fun with the founders, do the right thing, use it to share our experiences. But it will never break us. It's no longer that big a thing, right? So just enjoy. Yeah. And then if something doesn't work, it doesn't work. I can be stressed for, like yesterday, I was really stressed for
Her
half a
judgment
day.
is always stressed for 1 to 2 days. Is
Okay,
fine.
then that's it.
More than that,
I
then
just
there's
don't think
something
about
wrong.
it.
Yeah.
If it keeps me up at night, then I know this one I have to drop somehow.
Yeah.
Though
it's
you
not
can't
worth
drop
the
the kids.
cost.
So that's
Yeah,
the
the
only one
kids.
you can't make mistakes.
You can't drop kids.
No, really, kids are the only one you cannot make any too damning mistakes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I
fair.
cannot terminate those 4 contracts, right?
Yeah. So anything you recommend watching that you're enjoying, learning from?
You won't believe the junk I watch, Michael.
Share with us, please.
Okay,
Junk
so
is
I
good.
just binge watched Squid Game to 8 minutes, the 8 show. I'm into cheap horror, all kinds of horror.
I would have never suspected you for
watched-
cheap horror.
Hey,
He wanted
I
to-
saw zombies.
He wanted to fund a zombie movie.
Before
I
Brad
was
Pitt
like,
made that
no.
show. What was that one? What's that Brad Pitt show? Before World War Z
Z,
came out,
yeah.
I already saw zombies will be a big genre.
Yeah.
Right? So you can ask, I was talking about it for a really long
So we
time.
Did you
spoke
watch
to a friend.
Substance yet?
No, I
You
haven't
gotta
watched
see if
Substance.
you're
It's
in
a new one. Is
Substance.
It?
It's
Is it
a
on
new
Netflix?
thing.
Oh,
It's pay-per-view on.
Oh no.
It's
Did you,
on
see,
Netflix.
did you see Expats?
Expats. Is that
In
about zombie
Amazon.
also?
Amazon Prime.
Oh, I have Amazon Prime. It's
Yeah.
on-
Okay.
it's zombie
If you're in the
also.
cheap horror.
It's
Yeah.
in Hong Kong, and
Yeah.
it's like a nice story.
Okay. Yeah.
Shao
So
Ning, I suppose you're not in the cheap horror.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
I cannot handle the stress that comes with. But I'm into Duolingo now, so I will
Yeah.
learn the languages and play
What
with it.
languages?
I'm doing. So I used to do Japanese, so I use it to refresh my memories. I'm doing Bahasa and Italian now.
Wow.
Wow.
So trying to make
you
myself
can tell who
at
is the
least-
high achieving
No,
learner.
so that at least I could order food, and then when you go there, you are not totally. At least I can get my what juruk apple.
Juruk
Yeah,
apple.
juruk apple. Yeah. So I just try to use the brain a bit more, and I try not to think so much about money, not to be on the dollars and cents so much. Yeah, it's
Got it.
stressful.
Nice.
Yeah.
Different part of the brain. This is awesome. Thank you,
Thank you,
guys.
thank you.
Thank you so much for
Really
coming and
appreciate it.
sharing.
Thank
Yeah,
you
thank
for
you.
having us.
Yeah, that was fun.
Thank you for the history lessons.